Okie dokie, welcome back to That's Just My Opinion. I am Merlin, and today we will be finishing up the Night Prince series, series 2 of the Night Huntress universe books. I do need to issue a trigger warning for books 3. I think for book 3 and a bit for book 4. For these two, they do involve issues of kidnapping, sexual assault, and torture. Please take that into consideration if you are going to consider reading these books. Fair warning, those are features of this. So, anyway, moving on, here we go, synopsis time. Book 3, Bound by Flames, picking up pretty quickly after the events of Book 2 with Cynthiana, where they found out that, guess what, Zilagi is alive and he's still gunning for them. Layla and Vlad are trying to find him, pick through where he is, trying to sort all that out while dealing with family drama and being a couple. And so they're looking for Zilagi, trying to hunt him down, trying to figure out what is going on with him. And throughout this, there is a point where they are, basically this is just a find Zilagi. And at the beginning of the book, Vlad gets a lead. He goes to take off to try to hunt down this lead, and he first he recruits Maximus, because obviously he kicked Maximus out of his line at the end of the last book for the whole he was in love with Layla thing, you betrayed me. But he needs someone to go undercover to, get in with Zilagi's people, so Maximus comes into play for that. Sorry, needed to get that out there. So Vlad gets a lead. He's going to go meet up with Maximus, and he leaves the castle, leaving Layla there under protection of all his guards. Well, guess what? They were waiting for that opportunity. Zilagi attacks the castle, destroys it. Layla barely escapes, but she ends up being taken captive by Zilagi and Maximus, who are both there. And Maximus basically fast talks Zilagi into going, no, we need her alive. She's much more valuable alive than dead, because Zilagi is mustache twirling, going, well, the death of Vlad's first wife almost broke him. Maybe this one will finally do the trick. Because Zilagi also evil monologues that he's the one who actually killed Vlad's first wife, that she didn't commit suicide. So this is where it gets kind of heavy, because Layla is taken prisoner and she is tortured repeatedly by Zilagi. They actually skin her to, as Maximus does some sidestepping, saying that it'll make it so she can't do her essence sensing to connect to Vlad, because also Vlad fireproofed her. I'll get into Maximus being a double agent in a minute. Of course, Layla's thinking that Maximus is still a traitor and everything, and she's trying to figure out a way out of what's going on. Then there's a point where she hears Zilagi and Maximus arguing about something. You find out that Zilagi has the intention of raping her and sending a video of that to Vlad. Maximus, again, through some fancy maneuvering and fast thinking and fast talking, convinces Zilagi that he should be the one to assault Layla, so that way it, dig the knife in a little harder on Vlad, that it's, his former second in command. Of course, Maximus doesn't actually rape Layla, he just fakes the rape for the video, so that way she doesn't actually get assaulted, and saves her from that experience. He also is like, hey, I convinced them to skin you to get Vlad's aura off you so you can connect to him, because you don't need the essences to physically touch, because you and Vlad are in love, and he's also your sire. You can do this, you can connect to him. So she ends up being able to form the connection to Vlad. There's a whole point where she ends up kind of making out with Maximus during another faked rape scene, because she needs blood, because she's starving. So she gets kind of guilty that she kind of gets into it with Maximus, but it's more of the bloodlust than anything, that she's literally starving. But she ends up making the connection. She gets a hold of Vlad. Vlad recruits Kat to come help him. They use some remnants to bust Layla out of there. You also learn during this attack that Layla is remnant proof. Something about her voltage or whatever makes her scorched earth to them, and they don't touch her. So they escape. Vlad is, very trying to be understanding about the, you were assaulted. He's doing I'm trying to give you your space, but I don't know how to handle this situation. And Layla tells him that no, she wasn't assaulted. And he's like, you don't have to lie to me. But she ends up telling him that no, she wasn't actually assaulted, but she confesses that, I made out with Maximus. And Vlad is one of the moments I really like from him, where he goes, I don't care if you had to sleep with every guard and Zalagi himself, so long as you did what you had to do to survive. Because, I mean, Vlad, you find out in his past, he was tortured and raped. So he knows what it takes to survive. So he's just like, I don't care. You did what you had to do to survive. I forgive everything. I hate Maximus, even though she tells him, no, Maximus did everything he could to save me. Blah, blah, blah. They patch things up. They get officially married under vampire law, which is woohoo. And then Layla tries to kill herself. Yeah, she tries linking to Zilagi, and she sees this young man with him, and then she tries to cut her own head off, because doesn't Vlad understand that she just really needs to do that right now? Yeah, so there's a spell on her now that is making it so that she can't, that if she tries the linking, she will try to kill herself, or even if, like, she goes to bed, she, like, tries to kill herself while she's asleep. Mancaries tries to break the spell, but it doesn't work, because apparently this is like some high level necromancy that he's like, I can't break this. You gotta kill the caster of this spell to actually break it. So we are back on the hunt to find Zilagi and whoever this necromancer is. They end up getting the tip off from Maximus where they are, which is the prison that Vlad was held when he was a child. So, because Zilagi always ends up picking places that have a lot of bad memories for Vlad, because he knows Vlad will never go there. I'm like, Vlad, you just gotta start checking all the places you would never visit. So they go, they kick ass, they burn down everything. Layla ends up finding the necromancer, whose name is Mercea, and you find out that you can't, because this spell didn't go off the way it was supposed to, where it killed her on the first shot, they are now bound, so if one of them gets hurt, the other also experiences the exact same injury. So, sorry Vlad, you can't incinerate Mercea, which you also find out that Mercea is Vlad's son. Technically stepson from his second wife, because he was already a vampire by then, so he couldn't have any more kids. But not only is he his adopted son, technically, he's his nephew, because you find out that his second wife was having an affair with his brother. And Mercea is like the spitting image of his brother. So, yay. They end up killing Zilagi for good this time. Mercea ends up bouncing, so now we have to track down Mercea, the plot of book 4. Maximus and Vlad kind of have this really nice heart-to-heart at the end, where maybe someday they'll be able to tell the world what happened with Maximus wasn't real, because Zilagi sent video to everybody of Layla's supposed rape, just to twist the knife on Vlad. Also, Vlad got a power-up this time, because when he saw the video, it pushed him into such a state of rage that he literally burned down his entire palace and can like melt stone now. So yeah, he's definitely kicking up some more firepower. So book 4, we pick up again. We are trying to hunt down Mercea. Vlad and Layla have also now come to the agreement that wherever they go together, because anytime Vlad tries to get overprotective and stash her away, it usually just ends up going bad. So they've agreed to stick together from now on. And they ask Mancaries for some help, because they're like, we need someone to lead us through the world of magic, because magic is illegal for vampires, and they need a guide. So who does Mancaries get but Ian? Ian is now the tour guide to the world of magic for Vlad and Layla. So we start doing some bar hopping with those three, get some more look into the world of magic. And Ian meet this demon named Asael, who's pretty cool, who helps them out with, like, hey, this is where you need to go. He's a cool dude. He's important for Night Rebel. This is also, when I originally read this book, I wasn't really interested in listening to the Night Rebel series. I was like, I was going to finish Night Prince, but I was going to just leave it at that, because I saw who the leads were for Night Rebel, and I just wasn't that interested. But they set the hook. Sure, Janine Frost sets the hook for Night Rebel in this one, because there is a point where part of what's happening is Mercea gets captured by these other vampires, and they're holding him, and they have demanded something of Vlad, that he has to do something for them, or they will kill Marseille, thus killing Layla. Well, you find out what that is they want him to kill Menkares. So Vlad, of course, using some fake execution glamour magic tricks, pulls off a fake execution where it looks like he kills Menkares, and Ian sees it, and he's in such a state of rage that he's like, Vlad's like, don't try it, I'll kill you. And Ian says, don't worry, I'm not going to kill you, Menkares is. And he pulls out this knife and cuts off a demon warding tattoo he had on himself and summons this demon, Dagon, and barters his soul to save Menkares. Well, Dagon happily accepts that deal because he's been after Ian for a very long time and tells him, congrats, you just sold your soul for nothing, Menkares is still alive. So Ian takes off at that point because he's now only got 2 years to live, which is not a long time for a vampire. So he just bolts. So they find out where Marseille is being held. We get Veritas to come in on this. That's what she figures out about Dagon. You find out she's got a personal vendetta against him. So she's just like, what's going on? And tell me. So she's going to go find Ian when all this is done. Set up for Night Revel. They fight the necromancers. Unfortunately, Layla's best friend Marty dies, it's a pretty sad scene, but I think he was like one of the only characters that permadies in this. Everybody else usually gets brought back as a ghoul or a vampire or a ghost or something. So yeah, Marty dies. It's kind of sad, and then Vlad and Layla live happily ever after. So I will say something interesting for this book is I noticed it, especially re-listening to it, Vlad gets a lot softer as a character in books 3 and 4. Like, he's definitely gotten over the angstiness and like the I'm the dragon thing that he had going on in books 1 and 2. I think that's mostly because Layla basically strong arms him into going, admit that you're in love with me. But anyway, just as a whole, I still like Night Prince, but I don't like it as much as Night Hunters. I think one of the key things that it's missing is the side characters. There really aren't as many really good side characters in this as there are in Night Hunters. And I mean original side characters, because Menkares is still in this, Ian is still in this, Bones is still in this. Because, again, I love Ian in book 4. He's fantastic. He's also got some really great jokes because while he's with them, he's being celibate, and Ian is a very sexual person, and so he's blue balls and hating it. But there's really not anybody in Vlad's crew that we really get to know and is really enjoyable. I mean, I love Maximus, don't get me wrong, but he's still your stoic warrior type. So, I mean, he doesn't apply any really good contrast to Vlad, and I think that's what Vlad was missing, was he was missing someone to contrast him, which is why I think Ian was really enjoyable in book 4, is because he added that, and I think that was something that was just kind of missing to the series overall. But I still really enjoyed it. I still give the series overall solid 4 out of 5. Very enjoyable. But hey, that's just my opinion. If you disagree with me, that's totally cool. Leave your comments down below if there's something you'd like to see me take a crack at in the future, and I will talk to you guys in a little while.